Hey everybody, it's Randy with Carchaeology. In today's video, well, it's a bit of a wrap-up of our Brubaker Box project. Follow along, you got to check this thing out. It is turning out properly badass. So the Brubaker Box is a bit of a unicorn. In fact, it's rare enough that most people don't really even know what it is or have never heard of it. But for those that are in the know, that are proper gearheads and studiers of design, the Brubaker Box pops up again and again, which is really pretty amazing because they only built 28 of these things. So the quick story behind it is that this was the dream car of a man by the name of Kurt Brubaker. Now, Curtis was a designer of all things, but he really wanted to create a vehicle that was useful for people of all different lifestyles and have it be an affordable, fun, interesting car that the world could play with. So this kind of sums up his whole plan for the car. Introducing the Brubaker. Something for young couples, something for pizza delivery guys, for guys that want a sports car, fishermen, surfers, moms with their kids. This is a car for everybody. And check it out. Here's everybody standing there with the car. The whole idea was to have something that was very useful, very fun, very modern, and very affordable. So the plan was to produce these cars on a Volkswagen chassis. Now, the Volkswagen chassis has long been known as a great platform to put different bodies on and do cool stuff. But Curtis wanted to go a bit farther. He didn't just want to sell bodies to people that they could put on their own Volkswagen chassis. He wanted to do it himself, and he tried to work with Volkswagen to get them to actually provide brand new chassis and engines and suspensions and stuff. Unfortunately, VW wouldn't play, and that made it super difficult for him to ramp up production. And the problem was he was so good at promotion. This thing was everywhere in 1972. Cover of Car and Driver magazine with a fantastic big article inside. Summer of 72 Hot VWs. Here's the Brubaker as well. All the sales brochures, all the salesmen out there working it. Here's a contract and everything. It shows the options that are available, how to order a Brubaker. This is something that I dug up and I'm very happy to have found from 1972. This is the form that you would fill out if you wanted to order a Brubaker box. It showed the accessories and options that were available, the prices involved with those, and it told roughly how long you'd have to wait to get the Brubaker. Unfortunately, nobody ever really got one. Only 3 cars were built by Curtis before the company folded up, and it seemed like all was lost. Fortunately, one of the investors for Curtis didn't want to see this thing die. A guy by the name of Mike Hansen stepped in to bring back the Brubaker box. So this sales brochure, The Box is Back, was produced by Mike and his company Auto Mecca in Woodland Hills, California. So the Brubaker at this point, they were still calling it the Brubaker Sports Van, but it was being sold by Auto Mecca, and they realized that they couldn't do turnkey cars in great quantities, so they sold the body as a kit, as well as selling a couple of turnkey cars. Now, they brought it a little bit further than Curtis did. Unfortunately, it didn't go as big as they had all planned and wanted. So I think all told, there were about 25 cars that came out of the Auto Mecca workshop, and this is one of those cars. So out of the roughly 28 Brubaker boxes that were built back in the 70s, there's 21 of them that are known to exist, which is really quite shocking. Now, fortunately, the bodies are made out of fiberglass, and so they're not something that rust away and disappear. In fact, this particular car, somebody had robbed it of its chassis, of its suspension, its engine, and all of its usable parts, and it was just a raw body that was sitting somewhere that my friend Mike came across, seeing it in the back of a photo for a boat that he saw advertised online. In any case, Mike is a good buddy. I've fed him a lot of really badass Mopar cars, that I've come across in my travels. So when this thing popped up, I said, hey, pal, it's time for some payback. Hook me up with the Brubaker box. And fortunately, he was willing to do that. So we struck a deal on it. I bought the bare body and brought it back here to the lab. Now, I jumped super quick on making all of that happen. And by the time the body actually arrived here at the lab, I had purchased a full-length Volkswagen-powered dune buggy that had these killer slot mags on it. We had pulled the body off of it. We put new floor pans in it, and we were prepped to take this body directly off his trailer and put it onto the chassis that it rests on today. So at that point, at least it was a rolling, moving body. And that's something that's really pretty important with these things, because believe it or not, even though this body is fiberglass, it is incredibly heavy for its size. It's not just fiberglass, there's steel that's worked up in through there. It's an extremely stout, extremely rugged, and pretty damn heavy box. In fact, I think we had 4 guys on it working hard and really couldn't lift the thing up. We had to kind of slide it off the trailer and onto the chassis. In any case, getting into too many details, but once it was on its wheels, it was easier to roll the thing around and start doing what we needed to do to it. And boy, did we need to do a lot of stuff. Not only did we need to do a full restoration on it, repair damaged fiberglass, do body and paint, do interior, we also had to source a lot of the missing parts, which is not really easy when you don't know what the hell they are. You can't just go to AutoZone and say, hey, I need parts for a Brubaker box. So we did a little research, and through the help of some very helpful Brubaker owners that are out there online, if you're on Facebook, look up the Brubaker Box fans page. Those guys are awesome. Out of the 21 now with this one that are known, I think the majority of the people are on that page, and they were able to tell me where some of this stuff came from. Like this windshield that was missing. This is actually from an AMC Hornet. Same with the stainless trim that goes around that. Fortunately, they make a new windshield for a Hornet. You can get that. And I found somebody that was selling some nice used trim on eBay. The rear window is from an El Camino, like 69 to 72. Again, they reproduce that glass so you can get brand new glass. They even reproduce that stainless trim that goes around it. So I was able to order those things up. Taillights on these things are from a Datsun truck. Now these are the ones that were on it that actually came with the body. I did have to sand them down, polish them up, and then clear coat them to give them a proper look, but they came out great. Let's see, other parts. Marker lights. These were sourced from a Dodge van. Again, reproduction pieces were available, so I got brand new ones to go on there to dial it all in. Some of the other stuff, well, it required a little bit more ingenuity, I'll say, or a little bit of fabrication. So we had the front bumper, but we didn't have the rear. Now, there's a company here in Southern California, some guys that are hoping to bring the Brubaker box back. And their shop, driven.co, down in Southern California here, they have a really beautiful restored Brubaker box. They have one of the earliest ones ever found that's in the process of restoration. And then they've got molds and stuff all over the place where they're trying to create new Brubaker box panels. Now, it's a huge project. It's not like it's one big casting or one big mold. There's multiple pieces involved with this. Not only is there the fiberglass, but there's steel inner structure, and this is a seriously complicated mold to make. So they've been a bit slow at it. They've been at it for a number of years, but their plan is pure. It's just whether they can actually make it happen or not. So in any case, they stepped up and helped us out, not only with a good opportunity to see a restored, done, nice Brubaker, but also pitched in a new rear bumper. So they had reproduced the rear bumper blade for it here. Now, these are fiberglass, by the way. They were originally fiberglass with a steel structure and then painted to look like wood. So I got out my artistic abilities there and gave a faux wood grain on there. Ben, our neighbor up the way, the fabricator, he made some great brackets to hold that thing on. And while I'm underneath here, I'll take a peek at that engine. That's an 1835cc VW engine that I got with a stash of VW parts recently. And it is one hot motor. This thing sounds badass, and it's pretty damn quick. Let's see, front seats. We have no front seats for it, but fortunately I had these high back seats in my junk pile. And bringing this thing over to Sergio at Henry's Auto Upholstery in La Habra, he cut down the top of these seats by a few inches to give some nice headroom in there and a good visual as you look, and upholstered this all in a gorgeous brown vinyl to match the original design of what was in a lot of the sales brochures. I wanted to go with shag carpet because this thing is as 70s as you can get. So I found this good long twist string green shag online, and we trimmed that down and turned that into the carpet for it. The other thing that's really fun on this particular Brubaker, I think it's the only one that has this, there is what was called the carry-all compartment in the dash, and it was an option that was on the original sales brochures, but it was never realized. And another thing that Curtis always dreamed of was doing an ice chest. So we turned the carry-all compartment into an ice chest. I've shown him photos of that, and he said that's exactly what he dreamed it being, and here it is on this particular car. Another fun thing are these gauges. These are original 70s EMPI gauges, the tach, amps, oil temp, and oil pressure. Those were still in the car, which is absolutely spectacular, as well as this extremely rare EMPI 3-spoke steering wheel with that big push. I've had people offer me thousands of dollars for that silly wheel, but they were original to this car, and the last thing I want to do is give up some of that history. I did find a cool period Kraco 8-track player to put underneath the dash. Some good period speakers here, some coaxial 20-ounce speakers there, and some small little pile driver speakers up front on the dash as well. Another fun little detail I threw in here, the Soylent Corporation keychain. So there was a movie in the 70s called Soylent Green, and in that they actually used a Brubaker box. So anybody that's a total movie geek will see that and see that relation there. The shifter here, this is pretty cool. It's a stock Volkswagen shifter, but it's cut way down. I have this great period knob that I restored and put on there. And the reason it's cut down is, well, there's only one damn door on this thing, and you've got to slide across that shifter to get to the driver's side. So unless you're somebody that likes to have a stick shift firmly up your Yahoo, going with the short shifter is the only way to go. Another fun thing we threw in there was the chrome barefoot gas pedal. Now that took a little bit of engineering as well as trimming down of the original pedal assembly to get it to all fit in there. And speaking of fit, well, I'm a really tall dude, and it is tight quarters in there for me. It's difficult for me to get in and out of there. I can drive the car, but it's not something I'd want to go for a long distance with. So I may spend a little time with some refabrication to try to get these seats to move back a couple of inches. There are little challenges with that, though. The fuel tank actually sits underneath that ottoman, and the ottoman goes right up against the back of the seat. But I do think that with a little effort, we can at least nudge that seat back a good couple of inches. Let's see, other things that we're missing that we had to deal with. We're missing the original lock and push button for the door latch. So I had to do a little bit of fabrication there, and buddy Ben up the way, he made it happen. Did this cool little push button type deal, and then a lever on the inside there for release. Did a beautiful job of that. It's not something that you can lock, but it has a period look to it, and I dig it when it's open or when it's closed. And there you go. There she is closed. So in any case, the Brubaker box has come a long way in the past 12 months. It's been almost exactly a year since it landed here at the lab, looking like it did. And here it is now in all of its glory. Now, other than a few final details, tweaking and tuning and running in, this thing is pretty much done. And I guess they're never really done. I guess the more that I use it and the more that I play with it, the more that I will improve upon it. But I'm really happy with the overall way that it came out. I think it looks fantastic. It's been great to taste the history of the Brubaker, of all the people involved with it, find all of this period literature, meet Curtis Brubaker via the internet and talk with him about it, get his A-OK on our adaptation of the carry-all compartment as the cooler that he envisioned. I mean, all of it, what an absolute treat. And for me, to get this thing here in my garage after seriously dreaming about it since I was a little kid, I mean, that one sales brochure I have had in my hands since, well, probably 1977. I was 11 years old staring at this thing at an auto show somewhere with my dad and just thought it was the coolest car ever. In fact, I thought it looked like a Hot Wheels car. And that's the next step after this. And I've mentioned it before in some of my past videos. I want to see Mattel turn the Brubaker Box into a die-cast car. And if they won't do it, there's got to be a company out there that will, whether it's Matchbox or Johnny Lightning or any of those other companies, be it a little tiny die-cast or a 1/18th scale, something like that. I really think that there's a market for a die-cast version or any sort of toy version of the Brubaker Box. Because everybody that looks at it says, man, I had that as a toy when I was a kid. Yet it's never been a toy. Well, it is kind of a toy, but it's a life-size toy. I want to have a little one I can hold in my hand and play with. And I want them to do it in green because, damn, she looks good in green. In any case, thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the process of the restoration of this very rare Brubaker Sportsman. It is one of very few that are out there on the road, and it has been an absolute honor and privilege to be the ones to bring it back to life. And I do definitely want to thank everybody that was involved with putting this thing together. Sebastian, Ben, Andrew, Sergio, everybody that, Mike, of course, that hooked us up with the car, everybody that helped us providing parts, information, so on and so forth. Big hats off to you for helping this dream become a reality. So history's out there, everybody. Keep on digging them up and driving it. Sometimes you got to find one in the worst possible shape and put all your heart and time into it and a fair bit of dosh to make it happen. But in the end, we've saved this. Brubaker 21 will live on for many years to come. Thanks for watching, everybody. Keep on, well, playing with your cars. All right. Bye-bye.